Spike. Spike is a character that is both loved and hated by the MLP community. Loved because he has a really funny and charismatic personality, but hated because he has some of the worst episodes in the show. Episodes like All's Well That Ends Well, Just for Sidekicks, and Father Knows Beast, just to name a few, but to me it was a case of not knowing what to do with him in the show, because Spike amazingly had some really cool and amazing episodes in the show as well. Episodes like Power Ponies, Secret of My Exes, The Times There Are a Changeling, and Motown. And even in Equestria Girls, where he rescues the main six in the movie Rainbow Rocks. So it got me thinking, what about the comics? And well, Spike in the comics isn't that prominent of a character, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have some standout moments. So today, let's explore some of the best moments of Spike in the IDW comics. Let's begin with issue 55 through 56. In this mini arc, we see a kind of sequel to the episode Gauntlet of Fire, and Not Asking for Trouble, because the dragons, with the newly named Dragon Lord Ember, declare war against the Jacks. And guess why the dragons declare war against the Jacks? Well, because the Jacks name Pinkie Pie an honorary Jack. And if you're confused of why, here's why. Is because when the dragons and jacks were fighting for the land that would be known as Jakistan, the battle left the land damaged, so the Dragon Lord Sincilla made peace with Prince Ulysses, and together they traveled Equestria until they found a land that could be suited for dragons, and because of Sincilla's kindness and understanding to Prince Ulysses would name her an honorary jack. Prince Ulysses swearing to Sincilla that no other creature in history would bear that title, something that the Jacks not only forgot about, but also confused Sincilla with a volcano. And the reaction of Spike in this panel was literally my reaction. Well, this is embarrassing. What? You're telling me that all of this happened because ancient Jacks were lousy artists? The comic ending with the dragons apologizing and helped rebuild Jakistan because they destroyed it at the end of issue 55, and both species putting aside their differences, old customs, and forging a new future with this ending the comic. Overall, this comic is great, not only because of the Spike portion on issue 56, but for the amazing character moments and growth from issue 55. Not to mention that this is one of the first moments that Spike used his diplomatic skills to solve a problem, one of many diplomatic acts that Spike would make, because as we all know, Spike will also make peace between the dogs and the cats in the future. And then we move on to Friends Forever issue 14. In this comic, we see Spike having a nightmare until Princess Luna appears in his nightmare to ask him to help her solve a situation in the city of Philadelphia. Since there have been cases of random fires in the city, and the police there believes that it has something to do with the dragons that live in the Dragon Town area. For this, they work with the Unicorn Police to solve the case, Luna talking to the chief, and is in here where we meet Officer Harcase, someone who isn't that fond of Luna or Spike. From here, we see how Spike investigates the case with Luna. All the while, he's undermined by Officer Harcase, all of this culminating with Spike going to the Dragon Town area and finding a comic store, in where he meets a dragon named Mina, a dragon who loves comics and who is a big fan of Princess Luna. Since she loves reformed villains, Spike telling Mina that he would be more than happy to introduce her to Luna in exchange of some information. And after solving the case of the fires and learning a lesson about not judging someone by how they look or because of his background, Spike introduces Mina to Luna, in where Mina, like any fangirl, bombards her with questions like what was it like to be Nightmare Moon, and making a not so subtle reference to the fandom at the time, because she mentions the shipping between Luna and King Sombra. And at the end, Mina just faints at the excitement of having Luna near her. Overall, this is a great comic, with a team-up that is really interesting in Spike and Luna, to the comedy and even the mystery of who is setting fire to the buildings, which I didn't even expect at the end. But sadly, I can't talk about the comic without mentioning the controversy that it had. So, for those who don't know, this comic was the talk of some fans back in the day, for many reasons. Some people didn't like the fact that the comic focused more on Spike than Luna. Some people didn't like the whole mystery angle that the comic tried to do, but the thing that most people talked about was Officer Harcase, Why? Well, because apparently he was a racist character, and yeah, I could see where some people came from, but I personally don't see it. And ironically, now that I think about it, this wasn't the last time a character was called racist, although in that case, I can fully understand it. And to the defense of Officer Harcase, he did apologize at the end of the comic, in a pretty funny and sweet way. But outside of the controversy, if you're a big Spike or Luna fan, I would highly recommend this comic. And to the surprise of everyone, we move on to issue 75 to 78, also known as the Cosmos arc, where surprisingly Spike had a key role in the comic, but more importantly in the climax of the story, since if it weren't for him, they wouldn't have defeated Cosmos. And in my opinion, Cosmos is one of the biggest threats that Equestria has ever seen, and the only ones that I could think that came close were the Legion of Doom and Tyrek. And if you don't believe me, here's a list of her powers. She can use elements at will, she can literally see and manipulate the cosmos at her will, she can brainwash and possess multiple creatures or ponies and use her powers or abilities. And she can use other creatures to form a new body, which is really disturbing to see, but let's continue. During the climax of the arc, Cosmos manages to obtain all of its powers back, and she transforms into an immense beast that eliminates one by one our heroes, or at least the ones that still stand. However, she had a weakness, her gems, since all of her powers was located in those, and who better to help than Spike? So how does Spike do this? Well, he just eats all of the gems of Cosmos. With Applejack, Rainbow, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, the Crusaders, and of course Discord distracting Cosmos while they take her gems, Spike eating all of them and leaving Cosmos powerless and returning everyone to normal. And with this, the comic ends, and yes, practically Spike defeated a cosmic god of chaos who could have destroyed all of reality and Equestria. So you know what this means, right? The real hero that save all of Equestria are not the main six, or Starlight, or even the princesses, but rather Spike, something that I can't believe I'm saying, but it's technically true. Overall, this comic is good, but not great, something that honestly shocked me because I remember liking it back in the day, and the biggest thing that I dislike about the comic is Discord, and especially the way how he's portrayed. I won't go into too much detail because I could do a whole video in just talking about this arc, but in short, the reason why Cosmos got trapped in the stars is because Discord let Celestia and Luna trap her, something that is seriously messed up if you think about it, and you would think that Discord would apologize to make things better with Cosmos, right? Well, no, Discord instead keeps telling Fluttershy and us, the reader, that it wasn't his fault, and that instead is the fault of Cosmos because her chaos magic went too far. But outside of that, the comic is really good, with some funny moments, especially from Pinkie Pie, and even giving some other characters the spotlight, like the Crusaders, Big Mac, and even Capper, which is really cool to see. And this comic has some of the most impressive panels of any of the MLP comics, like really, these are beautiful. And if it wasn't because of the Discord part of the comic, I would say that this is another great comic, but right now this is just an average good comic, but hey, this is just my opinion. And then we move on to the 10th anniversary comic of MLP. Now this comic is a unique one, in the sense that it's one of the few comics that is shorter than the Friends Forever comics, but why is he in here in the first place? Well, because in this comic we get the biggest revelation ever in MLP, and that is that Spike wrote the God, I really can't do that. That Spike wrote the G4 comics. Yes, this is real, where Spike is in a convention where he's talking about the comics. until he's approached by a fan who tells him that he's lying because a lot of the stories in the comics have inconsistencies and timeline issues, and Spike tells him that he started to write the comics when Twilight and him moved to Ponyville, and that he tried to be as faithful as he could, but that sometimes he needed to fill the gaps with something, and that at the end of the day he just wanted to tell these stories, something that everyone agrees on. And with this, the convention ends with Spike walking home, where we see that he ended up with Mina, which I feel like is really fitting, and we see that Spike kept a lot of souvenirs from his adventures, with this ending the comic. Do I need to explain why this comic isn't here? To me, this is the perfect finale to the MLP comics, and one of, if not the best Spike moment ever, because while yeah, it's not the most heroic moment ever, it's really important. But it also gave us a really nice message to the community as a whole, and that is that despite things not lining up or making sense, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy them, and that to just have fun and to be respectful to those who might not like or agree with you, and to create your own party canon. And those were the best Spike moments in the IDW comics. While Spike isn't really my favorite character ever, I can't deny that he has some really funny and important moments in the comics, where not only we see the most intelligent, but also at times the silliest side of him, and that Spike isn't just a sidekick or the pet dragon of Twilight, he can be a force to be reckoned with in his own special way. But what do you guys think? What are your opinions on Spike? And do you have any other moments of Spike that I forgot? Leave it down in the comments, and remember to like the video if you enjoyed it and consider subscribing. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, and before I go, I have a special announcement. So I want to make a special video for 1,000 subscribers, and I would love if you guys are a part of that video. But what would you guys like to see? A normal video with a Q&A at the end, or a standalone Q&A video? Leave it down in the comments, and remember to take care guys. I'll see you in the next video.